are just joining us, remember to drop your name. It's Geospatial Analysis Training using mobility data for health solutions in Africa, organized by Data Scientist Network in partnership with Meta, formerly called Facebook. So if you are just joining us, remember to drop your name in the chat and also mention where you are joining us from today. We look forward to a great time as we commence this training in the next 2 minutes. That's 11 a.m. West African time. Let's have a great time together. Thanks. All right, so 11 a.m. West African time, and we go straight into the business of the day. Okay, it's geospatial analysis training using mobility data for health solutions in Africa. And this will be a fourth series of the training. So today we'll be looking at introduction to time series using mobility data on ArcGIS. So today we'll be having another facilitator to take us through the next set of training on this. So right now, I will quickly introduce you to the timeline of this event, of the hackathon, pre-hackathon and hackathon training, all of those things together, because you need to be abreast of all the necessary information as regards this geospatial mobility, geospatial and mobility data for health solutions in Africa. So first on the item, we've done this already. That's to do with the masterclass and formal briefing, which we had about 2 weeks ago. And then we'll be looking at the learning kickoff, which started last week. We've had 3 classes already. But please note, these classes will run 3 times a week. 3 times a week. So for this week will be a bit special. And why it is special is because we will not be having a Friday training. What will happen is we're going to be having this today, tomorrow, and also Thursday. So we have a Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday for this week. The Friday is a big day that all of you also needs to be a part of. And that is all about the hackathon kickoff. You cannot miss it. You just have to be there. You need to know what you need to be building towards, what solutions are available out there, what solutions you need to think about that you can build. Now, we'll be having, guest speakers, people that have done things around hackathon before to come and inspire you, to come and put you on the right track when it comes to solution building, most especially in the geospatial space. And for the volume of cash and price that you'll be winning at this hackathon. So you just cannot but be in attendance. So Friday, the details will be communicated to you via email. But please note again, training will run this week for Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, same time, 11 a.m. West African time. So the next on the agenda, on the event timeline, is the fact that registration for classes for the hackathon will close tomorrow, 30th of November. 30th November. The hackathon registration, training, and all of that will end tomorrow. So hackathon application kickoff and workshop events will start by Friday, 2nd December 2022. So please note that Friday, 2nd December 2022. And then the solution submission deadline remains 18th of December, 18th December, 18th December. Please put this date at the back of your mind. They're very important. And now the more important part of this is the need for you to join the project group on Africa Geoportal. You must join the project group on Africa Geoportal. This is very important. You cannot afford to miss it. Just look at the link. The link has been shared via email with you all. Just ensure that you join it today if you are here to join it, because that is the platform where we're able to provide you access to ArcGIS Pro license. And then you are able to get access to, like I mentioned, license will be provided upon you joining the platform. So today, make it a time to ensure you join Africa Geoportal using bit.ly/geospatial-learning-group. So it's just 3 words, Geospatial Learning Group. Just paste them out with an hyphen and you're good to go. So remember to join the Africa Geoportal today. And for today, like I mentioned, today is the lecture 4. So we'll be having a facilitator for today is a colleague, a friend, and so many things. But for today, we'll be having Patrick Osigali. As you can see already, is on the call. It will be taking us through the time series analysis using mobility data on ArcGIS. So let's have him. I will turn the mic over to him now while he continues to engage us. Thank you everyone for joining us today. And we look forward to having more of you join the call. Thanks. You're welcome, Patrick.
Thank you for having me, and it's a pleasure being your facilitator today. We'll be walking you through how to work with the time series data, which we know, which is the major data we'll be using for this hackathon, the mobility data from Facebook, Meta. So the data, we know it, we call it a movement range, and it's very, very popular. And this data was introduced publicly during COVID-19. It was very important for tracking movement during COVID-19. And this data can be used in solving health issues, health problems. So we'll just dive into it, see how we can wrangle the data, and we move on with the data and we do a little visualization on it. Then you can do more complex things about it. So the essence of this lecture, this training is you just have to know how to start. So we have to teach you how to start. And we believe that with your advanced knowledge, domain knowledge, you've been able to do a lot of research and find out what you can do with this data. Amazing things you can do with this data. So I will share my screen now. All right. I believe you already, my colleague have already introduced you to this popular portal, which we are using. And this is where we store all our data. And if you have not joined, please click on we have the link on the Telegram group, click on the link and register for this portal. Being on this portal, you have access to the license, which will help you a lot to structure your data during the hackathon. That is one of the important things you need to. That's one of the important reasons you have to be on this portal, on this platform. And this is the group that was created for this particular training and the hackathon. Anybody that is not in this group, ArcGIS Pro license will not be assigned to that user for the time of this hackathon. And as my colleague has said, that ArcGIS Pro license is very, very important. It does a lot of things. It does not consume credit, which you are scared of, so that you don't finish the credit that is assigned to you when you are using the web. So, and it helps you to do a lot of processing of data. Heavy data, you can process it without having any difficulty with the data. So we'll just go. I already prepare a notebook for you, and that is the notebook I'll just run you through. I'll try as much as possible to explain all the functions that we'll be using so that you can replicate it and you can advance whatever you are going to learn today. So that is the purpose. Introduction to the functions you can do, what you can do with it, then you apply your own knowledge to advance it. It will be very helpful for you. So this is the notebook I've prepared for the training. I'll just walk you through it step by step. Like I've said, my colleague last week, I was on the call when he was introducing you to the Python interface of the Africa Geoportal ArcGIS notebook. So I'll just build on what he started, but I've seen some comments also on the Telegram group that there are some explanation that need to be done more, and you can ask the question when I'm there on the chat, and I'll just pick it up from there and do more explanation to it. So this is my notebook, and we'll just be moving straight to the notebook. So what we are using today is the Facebook mobility movement range data. So I believe you already know how to run this notebook. Okay, you can use your keyboard to run it. With the Shift Enter, you run the particular cell and you move down to the next cell. That's this keyboard you can use, or you can choose to use your mouse by clicking on this play button here. So if I click on it, it automatically runs my cell. Okay, I'll just start my notebook again. So we start together. So as you can see, I'm using some functions from Python, and it's already pre-installed. And one good thing about this web interface is if there is any function in Python you want to use, any library in Python you want to use that is not already installed on the kernel, you just have to pip install it. Once you run the pip install command, it install it and you are ready to use it. But the functions I have right here, they've already been pre-installed. So this is NumPy function that helps you to wrangle your 1 or 2 dimensional data in arrays. So, and this is the pandas, which help you to read it in a table form. So this is the ArcGIS library we'll be using more. This is the ArcGIS library, and we import the GIS library, GIS module from the library. And this is the time, this is time library, which helps you to get the time and date, current time and date, or you want to go back, take the time from this day last year it brings the function for you. So I'll also be using the matplotlib, which helps you to visualize your data. So I will have to instantiate my GIS function to start from my home. So when it's starting from my home, automatically I'm logging with my credentials. That is what it means. And I will be preventing a lot of warnings on this. Okay, I'll be presenting a lot of warnings. So that's why I'm just trying to filter out the warnings. I'm going to ignore them. So this is the basic libraries I'll be using, and they are very easy to use. So as I've said, you just run your, okay, just run your cell. And now this is the data we are going to work with. I'll just remove it so that you see the way I'm bringing it in. I'll remove it so you see the way I'm bringing it in. So come to this button, add button. You click on add button. I'll go for the group because I'm bringing it from the group, and the data is being named. I'll be using the one for Nigeria. It's named Nigeria Movement Range. So I'll search. So this is the data I'll import it in. But then I want to rename my variable. I don't want to use the default variable they are using. I'll have to rename it with what I can easily recognize and work with, which is the Nigeria. The NGA is just an abbreviation for me. Three alphabet representation of Nigeria. That's where I used it. And it will also be nice for you to always use something you can always relate with on your code whenever you use it and everything works for you. So I'll run it. So this is the data. This is the data we are working in, and it's a host feature layer on our platform. We already have the data from the group. So, and this data, I can't work with it. I have to convert it to a data frame, a pandas data frame, or a spatial pandas data frame. So for me to do that, I will have to use the layer. So I'll do something here so you can just see why I'm using the layer. So with that, the layer, this is also going to give me the map. But once I'm using a layer, I'll use the dot layer function. So this is what it's going to do. This is the data there. But I can't still work with it. I have to, because it's a list, for me to be able to access the features, I just have to filter with the first index. So that's the way we'll use any data you are working with. This is how you filter out the index, because each of the feature layers you are going to import, some of them might be more than one together. You filter the particular one you want to use. So with this, filter it out is fine. So I name it to a variable. From my variable, now I have to convert this data. As I've said, I want to convert it to a data frame so that I can wrangle with it, play with the data, do whatever manipulation I want to do with the data. So how can this be done? I have to use the query function. So when I query it, so this query function is, I prefer to use it other than use the pandas, because the pandas will definitely throw an error if there is a null. If there is an NaN that it cannot automatically convert to numbers, it will throw error. So I'll use the query, and this is spatial data frame. That's what it means. SDF, spatial data frame. So this will help me to convert it to a data frame. But the data is large because it's from 21st January to May 2022. So I have to consider it. This is on daily basis and in local government level. So this data is large. It will take like 2 minutes or 3 minutes for it to run. And depends on your internet, it might even restart your kernel. I don't want that to happen. So I'll just filter out the date I'm going to use with this function query. I'll just filter it out. So I'll go to the next cell. So now I have to use a where, because the query uses syntax like SQL. So, and there is a DS column, which is date column. and we have to filter from, I have to take everything 2021 out of the data, and I'm only returning only everything that starts from 2022 January 1st. So that is what this little query is doing. So I'll just have to do the filter, and it will run faster than the other, and it will not shut down my kernel. So that is a very nice practice for you to do, being able to read up the documentation that will go with the data, know what is in the data, and then know how you can filter your data, query your data, so you don't necessarily pick up everything that is not useful for you, and it will be so heavy on your PC or the platform that you are working with. So there won't be need for bringing in any information you don't want to use. Please query everything you need to use. So I'll run it, and then the information, it will process under 30 seconds, and we'll move on. So, and the head function is, if you are new to Pandas, the head function is just returning the first 5 rows of the data. So that's what the head function will be returning. So, and I also have to bring out the metadata of the data we are working with. So this metadata is, okay, now the data it has processed, and now you see what was formerly a URL before, a feature layer, that URL that leads to the data, we've been able to convert it to a table. So this is what the query and the SDF function is doing. So now I just want to do a brief explanation. So the DX is the date stamp, which is formatted in this way, and the country is just an ISO series code for each country. But we've been able to structure this data that you have it per country we are dealing with, the 4 countries we are working with. You have them already separated for you, so you don't have to worry yourself on which country, what is the code of the country. So this is the sort, and they are using this GAdmin for global data to do the location, to enrich the data, so that you've been able to get state and the local government. And the polygon, the name of the region you are working with, in my case, in Nigeria here, is local government, and you can get that. But the next one you have to pay attention to is the all-day being type visited relative change. Now, it's like the number of people that visited this place today and divided by the number of people that visited tomorrow. There are a lot of mathematics behind it. I'm just giving a brief summary of what it is. So it's a percentage change, and this data has been completely normalized. But then it means where you visited, or who has visited somewhere. But the next feature is all data ratio single type user. So all data ratio single type user is the positive proportion of users staying put in a single location. So these are the proportion of those users that did not move from one location to another. Why the first one we talked about was the one that moved from one place to another. So it depends on your use case, what you are going to work with. So you've been able to determine which of the features you will be working with. So the baseline they use to normalize the data, remove the information that you could use to trace whoever generated this data, the user this data is coming from. So the baseline is, they are using the baseline of February when the COVID-19 started, 2020. That's the baseline they are using for the data. So you should have this information so that you know what you need to be doing. So we've spent a lot of time here. I'll try and hurry up. I believe now you understand what the mobility data is, and you started thinking on what can I do with it? What problem can I solve with this data, and how can I apply this data? So because it's time series, we have to work with the time. So now I just want to view all the columns. So when you do dot column, you'll be able to view all the columns. These are the columns that are here, but I don't really need all these columns. I only needed the column I can just work with. I don't have to work with a lot of columns I won't be needing. So I have to just select the columns I will be needing. So I selected the name of the state. I selected the name of the local government. So the mobility change and the change of those people staying in one place without moving. So that's what I have there. I just filter the data and I can check the information. Checking the information, you see that most of them are objects which are strings, but the DS is a date time. So this is a date data, meaning we have for yesterday, we have for the day before, and we'll be having for tomorrow. So how can I work with this data? So I just want to see how does this data look, trying to visualize it with histogram, and then you see that this data is completely normalized, meaning they've removed every private. This data, every privacy, any information that will invade the user's privacy has already been removed. So that's why they call it privacy preserved data. So you can't trace it to whoever this data is being generated from, and it's being generated from everybody that is using Facebook mobile app. That is what the data is doing. Now, okay, let me also show you the data so it doesn't look like we are running too much. Now, this is the data. We'll just look at the data a little bit. So, like I've said, this is what we have to work with now. Now, I want to check on each day. If you look at this data, you see that some days the values are high, some days the values are low. And then, you know, your weekend affects the way people move from different locations. Weekend affect the way people move. Most places where people walk, most people don't want to go out. Most people don't want to go out. So the proportion of people leaving their home on Saturday, Sunday is very small compared to those who leave their home on Monday to Friday. So I don't want bias to be on my data. This is the use case I want to do. So I have to bring in the day of the week so that I know which one is weekend and which one is working days. So I will just enrich my data with the date function. So this DS is still the date column. So this is like putting it in date time and the day name. So this is the day name function that will help us to enrich this data. So I will enrich the data. Now, if you check this data, okay. Now, if you check this, I'm just checking the last the last 20 from Lagos State. That's what I'll be checking. So let us see how the data look like. Now, this Lagos and what is showing us is Surulere, and this is the mobility change, and these are the proportion of those who are not moving, who did not leave their particular location, and now this is the day of the week we just generated. Let's look at it. We can agree that Saturday, look at it, is higher than Friday, Wednesday, Thursday. Now Sunday is even higher more. So meaning most people don't leave their home on Sundays, probably just go to church, which is still within their neighborhood, their vicinity. So, and look at Monday again, the value has reduced. You can also check the percentage change from the people for the movement data. Now, this is why I have to remove weekends from my data so that I know that I'm working with data that is not biased. But then there's other factor that we could also see and which Python can do for us. Holidays, they are public holidays. So how can we use this data? We have this public holidays data on the group. You can use it, but in this case, I want to use the Python API so that you see how it can be done. So there's this Python library called holiday. I'll be installing it. So this is the command I said you can use to do installation. So on this installation, I just do pip install. So this -q, don't mind me. I don't want it to return any value for me. I want to keep it quiet. So that's why I use that. And it's also very good. I want my notebook to be clean. So this is a magic function, the exclamation, for it to work on the notebook. Else you have to use the terminal, and I don't want to use the terminal. So I don't want to leave this interface to install and come back again. So let me just do it everything here. So I'll just do the installation. It will take a few seconds for it to install. It has installed. I'll import the library. Now this library, I want to use it to enrich my data again. I want to create public holidays. So this library was created for a global, it was created for global use, and I don't want a public holiday be observed in USA to affect my data here. I want to streamline it down to my country. So that was why I had to use the country holiday data. So sorry, country holiday modules, and I'm using the Nigeria portion of it. So I will just have to get the data. So it is the get. I'll share this notebook with you. You also have to practice with it. There are the values. So these are the values I'm bringing in, and mind you, I'm using the date column. If I'm not using the date column, it won't work. So the date column must be formatted as a date. I believe you know how to do the formatting. If it happens that is a string, so you just do the formatting to a date. I'll create it. It will take a few seconds. Maximum of 1 minute to run, but the data is not large, so it's very fast. Now let's look at it. Now we have no, meaning at this point there was no public holiday, and this data is very small. It's just from January to May, which I've selected 2020. Keep that in your mind. And if it was like I'm starting from 2021, the data will be it will take like a minute 30 seconds to process. I want to check how many public holidays appear most on my data. So now we see this is the number of public holiday. Remember, the public holiday is coming from all the local governments we have. So it enrich them from all the local governments. So at least all the local governments we have in this public holiday. So that's the count. If you do the count, you see it here. And if I've done for more, you see those this either feature that must have fall on weekend, that they will have to schedule it for another day, probably the first working day. This information are repeating. So you just have to play more on it. So then what I want to do here, I want to filter out my weekend. I don't need Saturday and Sunday, and I don't need public holiday. So I'm only returning everything that is not public holiday. So I will just run it, and I will do the count for you to see how many rows it was before, how many rows it is currently, and how many rows it has dropped from the data. Now, when you check it, you find out that the number of rows it was having previously was 13,000. Now it has dropped to 9,000. And how many rows did it drop? It was 4,000 so far. So the weekend and public holiday are gone. I don't need it anymore. Now I have to do a group by, because this data is in date form. I don't want to use dates now or to do my visualization on the map. You can do it, you use a date, and you have to have a slider. But now I don't want to do that. It's kind of complex for this class. So you can do it with your learning time. You have access to this platform. You can do more on it. So I have to do a date group by. I'm using the group by state ID and the state name. So, and I'm naming my column I'm creating as an average mobility change. And this is the I'm using the mobility change of people who are moving that represent movement, not the one that represent staying in one location. And I'm using the NumPy mean average value function, which is here. So when I run it, you see now I have been able to reduce my data to the minimum level. So I'm only having Edo State for one, Lagos State for one. So everything is just practice state currently. I just want to use a NumPy to do some visualization. It won't be much, just something we just have to play with. Now I did a histogram. It was not really giving me a better information, so I want to do the count of each state, or the average of each state. Now we see that Delta State is negative, Ebonyi State is negative, but Edo is positive, Ekiti is positive. So this is the mobility change overall from January to June of 2020. You can use a different time, you can use quarter, you can use daily, anything you want to work with, fine, it works for you. So, and now if you look at my data, I don't have the location information anymore. I have to bring in the location, the geometry for the data, so that I'll be able to put it back on the map. So and I want to bring in my administrative boundary. So I'll just remove this. So we just see how to bring it in. My administrative boundary is here. So I'll take Nigeria admin boundary for state level. So I'll search. Now, the one for state level is the admin level 1. I'll just pick it. Now, I just want to do some changes. I want to name it Nigeria State. And I also want to name it Nigeria State. So, and as I've explained before, this, I want to pick out the layer and turn it to a data frame, a special data frame, which I just have to do. So I've explained this, and I also want to drop some columns. I won't be needing these columns because they're not useful to me now. I'll just drop them and I'll use this as it. If I don't add this as is, the dropping will throw error. This is telling me that you drop them column-wise, and this in place. It means that replace the same variable I've started it with. So I'm not creating a new variable again. So, and I have to merge with my data. Now, this data, let me just show you so that you see what we are working with here. So it's this special. Now you find out this is what we are working with, is the country and the name of the state and the shape. So this is the polygon we're talking about. Without this, we won't be able to plot the boundary. So now what we have to do, I have to merge this with my mobility data, the average mobility I've calculated. And what is the portion, what's the column that is unique, that is common between both of them, is the state ID or the state name. So I'll prefer to use the state ID when it comes to spatial, because you might have a name, a state that is having the same name. Just think of, I'm using local government, and there are some local governments in this country that have the same name. So that's why I prefer to use the ID. We should also make it as a best practice. And while I'm doing that, I also want to drop the state name from the mobility data, because I don't need a duplicate of my data. And I'm using this, the GID1, to join them. And I want to keep all the values from the state polygon, from the state data, even if there is no average, there's no mobility information coming from that state. I also want to keep it there. I want to recognize it. That's why I'm using the left join. So when you do that, you will be able to see, and I'll just check the shape. Now you find out that this is 2037, which means 36 states plus the federal capital territory, which is 37. Now this data, if we see this data, we'll know that the data has been enriched. So the data has not been enriched. I will just want to show you. But then this data is not a spatial data yet. I have to convert it back to a feature data so I can populate it on my map. Why I'm trying to do that, I'll use the publishing function, which is a spatial data frame. It has a spatial attribute, which is the poly, which is the geometry shape. And I'll just turn it to .spatial to feature layer. This automatically turns it to a feature layer, which I imported in the initial state because I'm trying to prepare it to go back to the map. So I will just give it a name, and I also want to add another thing here. I'll give it the folder I want to use. I don't want to populate it in my content. I'll give it a folder, and I name the folder training. So let me just show you here. This is the folder. Where's my content? This is my content. I've created the folder before. This is the folder. There's nothing inside. When I populate it, you also see that we have new things in the folder right now. So I'll just come here. I will just run the file. Yeah. And one thing you need to note is always save your notebook. It does not auto-save. Always save your notebook. Either you are creating a new one or you save. And it's advisable you save it in your content. Don't save it on the group so that we don't put some information we don't really need on the group. We want the group to be clean with just only data. Don't save your map on the group, don't save your work on the group, so that you'll be the one that will access your content. Nobody can access your content. If you save your work on the group, everybody will see it, anybody on the group will see it, and then you know what it is. What you've labeled for, somebody can just replicate it, end it a little bit, and it becomes the winner of the hackathon. So let's make that a best practice as well. Now that I've saved it, let's come and check. Do I have it here? I'll just refresh. Now, you see, I have it, average mobility change by state. This is what I have right now. I've just published it. But what I also do, I just wanted to see it on the map. I just added it to the map. Not that this map, I did not style it. It's just a default map. It won't be styled. I created, so okay, let me also explain this. This is the GIS. I use it to create a map, and I put the location as Nigeria. Automatically, it direct me to Nigeria, and I use the .add function to add it to the variable I saved as the map. And this is the feature layer I've converted. If this layer is not converted to a feature layer, it won't work. You can add it to the map. You have to convert it to feature layer before you add it. Else you'll be facing error. You might be saying, okay, why is it not working? The instructor did this. Now, what I also want to do, I also want to bring down to Lagos so that we just see some example I will just do on the group once we are moving from this notebook to visualize what we have done. I also want to filter just only Lagos. I want to work with only Lagos now. I don't want to work with anything aside Lagos. So I want to work with Lagos to the level of local government boundary. So I'll just filter with Lagos name. So this automatically return only Lagos data for me. Yeah. So this return Lagos data for me. Now you find out that this is Aggregating, and we still have the holiday here. All those informations are there. But then I'll just have to work with this for time's sake, and I'll do a group by, though the data is already in the right state, but I just want to make sure that I'm still trying to prevent any issue that will come up. And now I'm not using the time anymore. I'm almost eliminating the time because I'm doing a group by local government. So I'm not doing the group by with the time. Now you find out that the time variable is not on my group, the column I'm grouping by with. So I'll run that. We'll be having this as well. So this is what I have now. Again, we are back to where we were before. This data now does not have the spatial capability to be on the map. Aside the name, the name is a spatial variable, but it's very expensive to feature on the map. I want to take this to the map automatically, it's consumed my point. So why didn't I just import my local government boundary? So my local government boundary, I've shown you before how to do this importation. Just search it here. So this is the local government boundary, admin level 2. The local government boundary for Nigeria. We have all of them in the group. They are in the group. You don't have to go and search for it anymore. With all the layers for each of the countries, we have them in the group. So you just try and limit yourself to the data there, because too much information might be too heavy for you to process, and it's making you waste more time. So then I just bring it in, and the same way we go, I want to just select only Lagos out, because now we are having this local government, multiply it, how many local governments we have in Nigeria? We have about 774. I don't want to process everything. I just want to process the only 20 local governments we have in Lagos. So I'm using Lagos name to filter the data for me, and I'm transforming it to a spatial data frame. So, and you find out that we have it for just only 20 local governments, and the columns. And these columns, I don't need them. These are columns I don't need. I just only need the name, the ID of the name, and the shape. Those are what I need currently. I'll have to drop the other column the same way I did it initially with everything. You see, I keep on reusing my code. I'm not doing anything new again. So we just do that, and I merge with the shapefile with the average local government. Now that I have this shapefile with the average per local government, now I have my data. This is now in the spatial data frame with the average per local government. Then I have to publish this back to my folder. So I name it as average mobility in Lagos State. Now, you see, it's not in the Nigerian state anymore, Lagos State, meaning it's to dig down a level below from state to local government, and I'm saving it in my folder. Doing that, I'm done with everything I have for Python. I'll just do the other one in the drag and drop interface, and we are done. So now you'll see this data. Well, I know most of you must have tried using this data before. It was difficult for you to use, but with the help of Python, what we just did now might not really be possible. It will be too advanced using the interface, but the Python will make your work seamless. You work, and because you already know how to use the programming language, it makes your work very easy to accomplish. Now let's check our data. Did the data published successfully? We'll check. Right, we have the two data in our folder. So then the next thing I'll have to do, check this out. This is where you have everything you can do with the platform, with ArcGIS. Now, these are mine. Some of them might not be, you might not have them for yours because of the privilege I have as an admin. So you might see some of them, but now what I want to use, I can use the map viewer. I can use the map viewer classic. Now I want to use the map viewer classic. I prefer the map viewer classic. You can try add this. This is the newer version. It's wonderful to use, but I am used to this because I'm an old timer. So let me just stick with what I do. But it's very good for you to try new things out. So I'll right click on it. I want it to open on the new folder for me. So I'll just go. So it opened a blank folder for me. This is what I'm going to work with now. So what do I have to do? I don't have data yet. I have to import my data in. I'll come to add button, go to search for layer. I go to my content. From my content, I can go down to my folder. How do I have to do that? So I can filter to my folder. I have a folder here. So I want to go for training. I'll go down to training, so I don't have to bring a lot of information here. So I'll work with the state first. I'll add the states to my map. I'll add the state to my map. I'll tile it. You'll see how it works. So this is what I have. I'll come back to my content, my detail, come to my content, and this is what I have. I'll click on this three ellipses here, and I will do zoom to. Zoom to automatically zoom into the shapefile I just imported in. Now look at it. The information we have is here, but it's not styled. How do I do that? I'll use the visualization button here. But before I do that, I just want you to see is the same data we send it down to this place. It's not different from the data we send down, the name of the country, the name of the state, the name of the calculation we did, which is the average mobility. From here, you can show more of your columns. You see that the columns they think I will not be needing, being hidden, but if you have any column you need and it's hidden, you just have to open it from this ellipsis here. You open it and you see what you want to do. So I'll just go back to styling my data. Now from here, I have to click the choose an attribute to show. So this is the data I'm looking for, the average mobility. So, and secondly, something you need to know is the mobility, the shapefile in ArcGIS. Once you are converting your data to a shapefile, it has the number of lengths the column can take. That's why you see it has automatically truncated the name I named it before. So you have to put that in your mind. So the next class will also show you how to retain the same name, the length by giving it an alternative name. So you can work with that. We'll do that in our next class. Let's not push too much. Now this is the data. I might want to change the name. I'll just click on so I'm using the count and amount column. Sorry, the count and amount styling. I don't want to use any other styling, but there are other styling here you could have used. The unique, the location and the count and amount for the site, but this is the color. So this also help me to do the classification. Now I'm not doing, if I will have to normalize my data, I would have used this drop down. I'm not doing that. I will use the, okay, I will use the high to low. I can change my symbolization. So I'll just pick a random symbolization here because of time. You can try more. I'll click on OK. Wow, this is too red. I'll have to change it. I'll have to use something that is not too as dark as that. So this is better for me. I can work with this. Don't mind my color choice. You can change yours. Now, you notice that this place, this state, Jigawa, does not have data. So it does not have data for this year, not that it doesn't have for the previous year. So I'll just have to, I want to style it. So I don't want it to be black. I want to use a deeper color for it. I'll just use black or gray with my choice. So I should able to know that. Now I'll just click on OK. I'll click on done. I have this, but then I remember I save two data. Where am I bringing that other one? I also want to bring it here. So let me just quickly bring it here. I will come over, bring it down. So the one I have need now is for just Lagos State. I'll add it. It has automatically drilled down, but then I don't need that. I'll come back for you. I don't want it to be at the top. I want it to be below the state level. I'll drag the down one to the top. Now, yeah, it should. Now we have that. We can't see it anymore, but then what are we do? I also have to show it. But then I want to view this. I want to do some styling here so that you know that you can put more layers on your map and you can drill down. So this particular one, I will just go back to my formatting, my styling, and you see how I will make one not to be visible and the other one will be visible. So I'll come to this visual range. Now the data can be visible, the state level can be visible from the beginning, from the world global level, but I want it to stop at this particular zone. So there is this slider. I'll just take it down. I'll take it down before the level it is currently. Once I did this, the state is gone. We can't see it again. So once at this point, we want to be able to realize the local government. So I'll click on OK. Now I'll move down to my local government. I'll click on done. I'll move down to my local government. I want to style my local government now. So what I will do first of all, I need to choose the feature, the column I'm using. So my local government should be there right now, but the other thing I have to do, I have to make it to be visible because it's taking a particular level. Wow, it's taking, why is it loading? So let's just give it some time. Okay, it's there. So I'll just make it to be visible at this point, but then I'll have to open the style I'm going to use, the option. My network is a bit slow, will just take some time to test. So, right. So I'll go over to where I have. So now I want my state to be visible currently. Now I'll just drag my slider down to this location. That's what I want. And I'll do my styling. I can change my style. I also use the same color I used initially. Oh, this wasn't the one I used. I'll use this. And I want there to be outline. So let me pick an outline. I'll pick this gray outline. I'll pick OK. Okay, why is this still not visible? Is it transparency? The transparency. Okay, we'll just leave it for default for now. Let's solve the case of not being visible at this point. So it could be, okay, I don't know. Yeah. Wow. Okay, this is what I'm just trying to make sure I don't make any mistake. Okay, but then let me just save the map first because I want to refresh. So what would I call it? I'll call it a mobility change. So I'll save it under my training. I'll just save the map. I want to refresh so I don't lose the information on what I've done so far. I think it might be because of the network. Yeah, since we are back, okay, I'll be very fast. I already have time ticking against me. I'll pick up, okay, fine, this is the one I need. Correct. Now you see we are back. So I'll pick the one I need. So I'll just use the same color. The color might look odd or look odd to people that are very good with color. But okay, I also want to I also want to add an outline. I want an outline to be there so that I have some differentiation between each local government. And I can also I can also increase the size of the outline, but I'll just leave it as default. Now you can see that there is an outline for each of what we have done here. So now I will make sure that this layer does not show until we come down to the level it's supposed to show. So this is the level I want to put it, the level whereby the upper layer does not have to show anymore. So this one will appear. So that's the way you can do your drill down. And this map, you will be able to, you can style it and you can share with story map. Just try and explore the platform. There are story map, smart map, and all that. You just try and do the exploration and you see the good work that is happening behind this platform. It's make visualization and geospatial analysis easy and make you'll be able to share your content in a very short time and you are ready to go. You see the way I move, somebody look at it, you like, how did the first one appear? So, right. So I hope you enjoyed this class. We'll be ready to take any question you have now. Some of them we might be able to take up and you can drop other questions in the Telegram group. We will attend to them. If you are not in the Telegram group already, you will use the link that is in the group on this particular chat to join the group. So you can ask questions, anything you want to ask around what we are doing, ask them on the group and we are there to answer you. Thank you for having me. So in our next class, we'll just check other ways we can structure our more advanced data. Thank you. And okay, let me give you an assignment. Next thing you can do here, add a label to this map. Just add a label. It's there on the visualization. Add a label to the map and other advanced thing you can do. You can scale your label with the length at which you have visualized it. So that's when the map, the label will be visible so that it does not have to be visible when the boundary is very small. So thank you. Assignment tomorrow we'll have to take answer for that assignment, people that were able to complete it. So I hand over to my colleague, Ebe, over to you. I'll stop sharing now.
All right, everyone. It's been a great time with my colleague Patrick. And I want to believe that you've all learned a lot today around time series analysis using mobility data, which I believe we also prepare us for the next class. So the notebook will be shared with you, like I mentioned, and you will also be able to maybe just practice a little ahead of next class. But you can go back to the YouTube. We've shared the link. You can go back to the YouTube to just watch this session again and try to also try it out. I mean, you must just try it out. Try it out one time, second time, but then you are doing it again, you would have mastered it. You would have mastered it, and this is very important ahead of the next class. So I'll be sharing my screen again so that you get to know what is next in our time on the timeline, so that you don't miss out on anything. It's very important. Okay, yeah, it's great. We're getting some exciting feedback. Excellent session. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, informative presentation. We're excited to hear that. And we look forward to another great time tomorrow again with him. So if you are just joining us for the first time, we've dropped some links on the platform, on the chat. Please remember to just first register. The training registration is there. We also have the link to the Telegram platform. Also, the link to join the Geospatial platform on Africa Geospatial portal. Africa Geo portal, remember to just click on that also to join. If you have any issue joining, please remember to mention that on the Telegram platform. So there is one question here. Thanks, Patrick. You did some dimensionality reduction where you reduce a column from 27 to less than 10. What was the conditionality for choosing or dropping column? If you'd like to take that.
Okay, thank you, Chris, for your question. It's very important. So I'll just tell you, the condition is that I know the column I want to work with. I don't want to take column with the information which is not useful to me, and I should be able to interpret whatever data I'm processing. So that's what I do. And when you see those data, those column I drop, they are just IDs of people who created the data, who uploaded the data at some particular stamp when they uploaded the data, and who is editing the data, when was it last updated. So those are what I just have to drop, or probably a serial ID corresponding with the name of the local government, so that you know what is the type of the local government. It's not telling you that it's a locality, or it's a local government, is a state, or it will be world. So those are the column I drop. They are not really important to me because I already know what I'll be working with. But to you, if you are working with it and you think those information are very important to you to make your own decision, you keep them. They are not, nobody is costing you for keeping them. But for simplicity, process the data you can. The data you can process and the data you can explain. That is it. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, please, can I know the instructor name? I joined late. Okay, so there is Patrick Osegali. You can always connect with him also on LinkedIn. All right, he's a data analyst, a data scientist with data scientist network. So that's the name. You can always check him out. And my own name is Oluwaseun Abel Ofini. You can always connect with us as well. All right, so we'll be coming to the end of the session, but let me quickly run you through the timeline again so that you don't miss out on anything. Okay, so lest I forget also, the ArcGIS Pro will be used for the session tomorrow. So if you have not downloaded it, remember to download. We've shared how to download and install on the Telegram. So if you're not there yet, you can always pick it up when you join. It's always available there. And I think we might just run a quick one, like a quick walkthrough of that tomorrow, but it will not be long. And it's why we've shared that. It's a step by step so that you don't miss out on anything. So that's what we've done around the ArcGIS Pro license activation and all of that. So please, it's time we get out the call. It's been an interesting time with you. Thank you for joining us. We look forward to seeing you again tomorrow. Do have a great day. All right, someone is saying I've installed ArcGIS for my local machine, but what I have is a 7-day version. With 7 days enough to use ArcGIS for this program. Okay, don't worry, that will be done. We'll treat this tomorrow. Everything. Just bring your questions up tomorrow around this. We look forward to seeing you again tomorrow. Have a great day.